Hey everybody, what is up? We are live streaming the Giants and the Padres here, Oracle Park. Giants losing 4-1 as they're watching their playoff hopes fade away. Um, so yeah, catch the fever, right? Here, Oracle Park. Give me a
Giants
second to get
losing 4
ready.
to
Let me
1
just
as they're
change
watching their
the
playoff hopes fade away.
name of the video here so people can come watch. I'm sure not many people will watch my first real live broadcast. So we're back, we're live. Apologies for the wait. So yeah, obviously I can't live stream the game because of copyright issues, but we will have the MLB Game Day app up as I'm just making sure everything's right here. We're here in the bottom of fifth. Giants trail 4-1. Padres, with the Dodgers loss tonight, could stream the game because of copyright issues. But the Dodgers, first place in the National League West, which, yes, the Padres have been competitive all season. Giants are challenging this play, by the way. Devers just hit one up the middle. He had a few good swings off Cortez, struck out looking his last at bat. But anyway, Padres have been a good team. Um, kind of were in the same spot as the Giants most of the season, and then just completely something that's happened at least one other time in the last 5 years, where the Giants just stay around 500, and the Padres actually win this challenge. It was called safe on the field, but just got overturned. Mike Schiltz coming out to take Nestor Cortez, who was 1 out away from getting the win, so he will not get the win. Of course, the Padres acquired Nestor Cortez from Milwaukee, 4-1, and Cortez leads the game. So yeah, anyway, the San Diego's just made such a big run through the National League West lately. We just take a look at the standings right now in the National League. Give me a second to pull these up. Padres. Here's MLB's homepage. Right now it's 5-5. By the way, the Dodgers are 0-4 this season against the Angels. So they're playing in Anaheim, right? So how crazy would that be if the Angels win again tonight? If they do, and this result holds at Oracle Park, we'll have a tie in the National League West. Of course, the Dodgers have not been good at all for the last several months. Didn't mean to click on postseason there. Sorry, my computer's a little laggy, as you can see. Look at the regular season. It would help if I clicked on standings and not schedule. We look at the regular season standings once my internet decides to load. And you look at the National League West. Look at this. Padres, 1 game behind. And look at that run differential. Expected win-loss. Dodgers still, no matter how much they struggle, they'll still always have a big run differential because the games that they win, there's at least 3 or 4 a year they win by double-digit runs, right? While we have this commercial break, I'll get back to the action. I have the game on my tablet so I can see that it's still in commercial. I'll pull up game day when we get back from break. But anyway, the National League Central, by the way, like and subscribe. We're back from break, but let's talk about the National League Central when we get another break in the action, because the Brewers just won their 11th game in a row. They've had like 3 winning streaks of 9+ in the last 2 months. I made a video about them, so I'm a little more educated on them than most teams. Of course, if you're new to the channel, first of all, hit that like and subscribe button, but also I'm a Giants fan. I converted this channel into one that is more, baseball oriented around the league, but that doesn't mean I'm going to show my bias to the Giants. Right now, I am with this stream because I'm more knowledgeable about them, and I want you guys to know that I do know ball all the way around, but mostly want to do my first live stream with the team I actually know what I'm talking about. So Adames took that pitch in, borderline strike, swings at a similar pitch, this one off the inside from Morgan, who just came in, number 66 for the Padres. Let's look at his stats for the season. Padres, of course, bolster their bullpen. Morgan's not one of their high leverage guys if he's in this early, but he does have a 1.71 ERA. So feels like everybody the Padres throw out there has a good arm. Misses with the curveball there. Adames kind of checks his swing. I don't think Fermin even appealed over there, though. Right now they're showing a dugout shot of Robbie Ray kind of just warming his arm up. He had a difficult first 2 innings. Through 60 pitches. It's kind of settled in, but still give up 4 runs. And the 1-2 is a slider. Adames takes looking. Speaking of the Brewers, Adames leaves. They take a while to adjust, and then, they just go off. Because they were 25 and 28 in 1 point this season. Let's transition back to those standings that we were talking about. As you saw, Adames, who was one of the things I read about him when he came to the Giants this year was that he was going to be a clutch hitter. And we saw he was named on the Major League Baseball Team of the Month for July. He was having a hot streak, even though the team was falling, and it continues to fall. But he is not. He's been cold for most of August now. As he once again was frozen with a runner in scoring position, like the Giants have been most of this season, and honestly, just completely have played themselves out of any playoff position. But back to the Brewers, 31 games over 500. What's that? If they were 25, I'm doing mental math here, 25 and 28, they have gone 50. Is that right? 50 and 16 is insane, right? Insane. And the Cubs, 16 games over 500, one of the World Series favorites. And this is the thing about the Brewers. They're good every year, right? And I don't mean any insult to Brewers fans, but can you get it done in the playoffs? Because I think if they played the Cubs in the playoffs right now, probably 40% of people would pick the Cubs. That's no disrespect to the Brewers. It's just they have to start winning in the playoffs, right? And this could definitely be the year. They have some sort of magic. We'll see. But, just everything else aside, playoffs aside, we watch baseball as fans for the journey. And this journey this year for them has been awesome, especially with them losing Bob Uecker, the legendary Hall of Fame announcer, before the season started. And then just this in-season turnaround that they've had. Cubs and the Reds, the Reds are still there. They're only 2 games out of that last wild card spot. Looks like we're back to the action here. Robbie Ray's on the mound to pitch the 6th inning against Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts is 1 for 2. He doubled his first at bat and struck out in his second. Robbie Ray, obviously, Giants All-Star this year, having I think, what was this? Would this be his 3rd second at least, career resurrection? Because the Mariners kind of gave up on him. We all remember that bomb he gave up to Yordan Alvarez in was that the ALDS? Gave up an absolute tank to Alvarez as a walk-off home run when he was on the Mariners. And that's kind of how people will remember his career with the Mariners. But he was a Cy Young winner with Toronto, I believe, right? So anyway, he's got a 1-2 count right now. And he's closing in on 100 pitches. He's at 96 now. Thrown to Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts has fouled 2 pitches off. One was a bunt on the first pitch here. Also, if you guys are watching, which I can't tell, this is all my first live stream watching a game. Hopefully you guys can appreciate this for me being a newbie. I like to do more of these at least once or twice a week. But anyway, what do you think of the Giants' new City Connects? Do you like them more than the last ones? I think a lot of people, now that we've had almost a full season of them, like them. As Casey Schmidt has a nice backhand play, missed a line drive earlier that cost the Giants a run, and Williamfield was drawn in, but he makes a nice play there. He's made a pretty good transition to second base for the most part. A couple of rough patches, including that missed line drive earlier, but he gets the play done there. But do you guys like these Giants City Connects or what? I like them. I like the last ones. I bought a few merchandise pieces of the last ones. I haven't gotten any of this new stuff yet. I don't know why. One thing I will say, the Giants did have some sort of City Connect magic in those last ones, even though they weren't as nice looking as these black, orange, and purple ones. The Giants won more games in those. They've not performed well in these, as Jackson Merrill doubles to center field, left center field, right off the big green National Car Rental sign in left center. And NBC Sports Bay Area pulled up a stat earlier where he was hitting like 380 in his career, obviously young career, at Oracle Park, and he just continues to do that. That was his first hit of the night. Ramon Laureano, as the camera just panned to Bob Melvin, his former manager with the A's. Melvin looks like he's going to leave Robbie Ray in, even though Laureano's 2 for 2 off him. Scored 2 runs as well and has stolen a base. Now, you're looking at that first pitch right there. Look how high that is. You know, one of the old adages in baseball, you miss high with the pitch, probably getting tired. You also see something down there. Laureano is 7 for 11 in his career against Robbie Ray. He's just hit the 100 pitch mark. Last night, Logan Webb was left in late, in retrospect, hindsight's 2020, and gave up the lead. It was 4-1 at this point. I think that was actually in the 7th inning. But anyway, it was 1-1. Yeah, I was heading into the 7th, and then the Padres scored 3. Bob Melvin pulled him too late. With Ray, he's already given up several runs here, so why leave him in? I don't know. That's one of the things people are starting to feel the heat, or say that Melvin might be on the hot seat, with 40 games left, Giants playoff chances dwindling. Does he stay after the season? I don't think Posey makes the move and fires him in the middle of the year or towards the end of the year here, unless things just completely go off the rails, which I don't know how much actually more they could go off the rails, if I'm being honest, because what were the Giants like at their peak? I don't want to go on Baseball Reference because it takes a lot of RAM from my live stream, but I believe they were like 11 games over 500 at their highest this year, and it was right before they got Devers, right around the time they got Devers. That Friday night, they tied the Dodgers for first place on Friday the 13th, and that was not scary. Everything since then has been scary for the Giants, right? I think they've been 12 games under 500 since then, at least 11, 12. So anyway, Melvin, Buster Posey's pulled a few levers this year, right? The first was the Devers trade, but the Giants were playing well then. I think that was to bolster, like, hey, man, we're playing over expectations. Let's get Devers and make this team even better. But it's made it worse, and it's not to Devers. Here's the thing I want to stop seeing people say, as it's now full count to Laureano. It's not Devers' fault. Like, he did struggle at the beginning, but it's not his fault. He's been tearing the laces off the ball lately. He's, accepted. He's played first base probably about a dozen times now. Hasn't looked, I give him, considering playing for the first time in his career and the whirlwind that this season's been for him, some of it self-imposed, but a lot of it, just media BS. I give him like a B- so far with the Giants, right? And the Red Sox, Jordan Hicks continues to be awful, as he was all season. As you look at that pitch chart right there, all inside, and he got Laureano to fly out. Jung Hoo Lee catches it just a few steps before the warning track. Merrill does tag and go to third with 2 outs. But anyway, yeah, Devers, the Giants did not lose that trade. The only thing that makes it look awful is the team has underperformed since then, but it's not because of Devers. because they didn't lose anybody really important. Hicks was awful. He continues to be pretty bad with the Red Sox. And then Kyle Harrison hasn't pitched yet for the Red Sox, to my knowledge. Still in AAA. And then they turned James Tibbs into Dustin May, which I forget who brought this up. It might have been on the Giants Talk podcast. It should be illegal I mean, it's kind of a joke, right? But it's annoying that Tibbs gets traded to the Dodgers system right after leaving the Giants system, from going from Red Sox to Dodgers. It is a little irritating if you're a Giants fan, right? Because Giants fans know that they get snake bitten more than most teams by former players. Or in this case, Tibbs never played a game for the big league club, but he'll probably break in with the Dodgers and do something annoying in about 3 years. Anyway, yeah, so this tailspin, I wouldn't blame on Devers. It's just frustrating that they've been average for like the last, 22, 23, 24, 12, and then even dating back to 2019, this team has been painfully average, except for that one off the wall 2021 season, which was euphoric. So this team is more talented than any of those teams. Any team the Giants have had on paper since 2016, 2018, maybe. 2018 was a huge disappointment. Or was that? Yeah, 2018 was the year they had McCutchen and Longoria and they had to trade McCutchen midway through the season because they so bad. And they almost lost 100 games. But yeah, I mean, biggest disappointment the Giants have been in 8 years, 7, 8 years, because you have 3 All-Stars on your pitching staff. You have the best bullpen in baseball for pretty much 3 months, and then right before the trade deadline and right after that in between time period before the All-Star break or after the All-Star break and before the trade deadline, you just absolutely play the worst possible baseball you could play and force Buster Posey to sell off what he could. But everyone's encouraged by that the Giants actually took a stance at the trade deadline and didn't, they kind of threaded the needle, soft sell, whatever you want to call it. They got rid of Tyler Rogers, who's, and Yaz, whose contracts were expiring anyway, and Doval, who has all the talent in the world, but just, I think he needed to change the scenery dating back to last year. He kind of got back on track this year, but still had flashes of last year's inconsistencies. So, yeah, I think the Giants are in a rough spot, but they have the core guys that they're going to have for like 5 years. Devers is not going anywhere. Adames is not going anywhere, and Chapman's not going anywhere, right? And then you look at the second tier guys as what a gutsy performance from Robbie Ray. I know he gave up 4 runs, but he pitched around a lot of trouble. This last one was a line out to Jung Hoo Lee. Giants still have 12 outs to play with, but anyway, gutsy performance. I would say I'm a little more encouraged heading into 2026 than I was heading into 2025 because they have Devers and Adames now to build with, along with Chapman and a full season of Lee. But I don't know. Would you be encouraged? Enough of talking about the Giants because I said I'd be fair, even though that's the team I paid the most attention to and the team I've liked since I was a kid. Let's talk about the Padres. It's not a one-team game, and the team I was talking about for 20 minutes is losing. So just looking at the Padres lineup right here, is this the lineup they head into October with? Obviously, I think you probably, because Ray started today, they didn't start Ryan O'Hearn, but you probably head into October with Gavin Sheets and Ryan O'Hearn and left at DH, which is I think what they did last night. So they do have a true platoon at this point with Iglesias and Laureano, which is wild. I know he's older, but Iglesias, known for his glove his whole career, is DH tonight. And he had his first career not first career home run, that'd be crazy, but first home run of the season and almost 300 plate appearances. So Padres, I don't even, how long has Michael King been out? Michael King's been out for a while for them, right? So look at him back. That'll be like another acquisition. They obviously traded for Mason Miller, Freddie Fermin. I'm a Giants fan. Grew up in the Bay Area, East Bay, Fremont to be exact, right? Some would call it the South Bay. But I live in Kansas City, so I know the effect Freddie Fermin has had on the Royals fan base, how solid he's been, and like, look, the Padres trade for him, and he's immediately become their starting catcher. So this lineup is deep. They have guys who are good all-around players, right? Like Laureano is having a career season, but he's an amazing defender with a good arm. Uh, Bogarts used to be one of the better shortstops. He's still kind of average, right? Machado's going to the Hall of Fame. Tatis, I would say that's a slightly disappointing 798 OPS, but he still has a flair for the dramatic. So yeah, I mean the Padres have completely once again just favored the anti-Giants the last 5 years, right? They just hang around, except for 2023. And what's the common denominator? Bob Melvin was their manager. They hang around long enough, and then they just strike, and that's what they've done. Wilmer singles down the line. That would have been a double first. Maybe not with Laureano's arm and left, but maybe some players that would have been a double. Laureano did a good job to cut that off before it hit the warning track. So leadoff single for Flores, and here comes Matt Chapman, who's not been great in his last, seemingly hasn't been great since coming off the injured list. Let's take a look at his last 15 games because I don't think he's been. I'll keep you guys posted on what happens since I'm watching the game. Last 15 games is hitting 170, right? So since coming off the injured list, he sensed the Giants were struggling when he was on the injured list. You could tell because he tried to push his way back. But his last 30 games, which is, I think he returned in, when did he come back? He came back and he got hurt on June 8th and came back July 5th. So since he came back on July 5th, his average dropped from 245 to 230. In OPS, I know averages and everything, guys, but I'm not doing the OPS math in my head right now with log. But I could do it with the last 30 games there. Anyways, OPS is below 600. No, that's, what is that? 633. That's mental math, so don't quote me on that. But he's got a 3-0 count. Morgan's trying to work him up and in, and just walked him actually. So the up and in did not work. Giants will have the tying run at the plate, and it's going to be Jung-Hoo Lee. Anyway, yeah, the Padres, like AJ Preller, you got to give him credit. This dude is, the old F them picks thing that started with the Rams in football. It's kind of what the strategy that Preller's taking. Like, you can't really say F them picks in MLB, but F them prospects. Leo DeVry, third prospect in baseball. Just, here you go. We want Mason Miller. He throws 104. Put him in our bullpen. He's been a setup man, to my knowledge, a setup man last night for most of his time with the Padres. I think I saw him come in to close one game last week against the Diamondbacks, and then Lourdes Gurriel. That might have been an eighth inning too. Just absolutely jumped on one. So, yeah, Padres. I mean, if you're a Padres fan, I remember when I was growing up, the Giants would Giants fans would kind of take over Petco Park. You'd see it on TV. The Padres have, they were hanging around back then too, in the 2009, 2010 era with Adrian Gonzalez and those guys. Now, I mean, if you're happiness index, of course, for a team that's still seeking its first franchise World Series, you'd have to be happy because they're doing everything they possibly can to win a World Series, and that's all you can ask for. You have a team that's doing everything it can to win, which in some respects, Giants are too. And the product they put on the field for the first 2.5 months was one where you're like, okay, I'm starting to believe in the talent this team has. Jung-Hoo Lee swings at the first pitch and lines out to right field. Tatis looked a little unsure at first, but Lee hit that one. What was the speed on that one off the bat? That's the pitch speed. We'll check on that one. It was a line out. I don't think he hit it over 100 though. It didn't look. Oh, 105. Yeah, so that was right out to Tatis. And we're going to get a pinch hitter. Dominic Smith is going to pinch hit for Tyler Fitzgerald, who was called up today. Fitzgerald last year had, a Linsanity run. If you're a basketball fan, you know what that means. That's become popular phrasing over the years. I remember the Linsanity run. I think that was in 2011, right? Jeremy Lin just went absolutely bonkers for like a month for the Knicks, but they called up Fitzgerald, who had been a shortstop last year, moved to second base because of Adames this year. And the shredder on MLB Network had him as like the sixth best second baseman, but he completely just cratered, and Schmidt's now the second baseman. And he's taken advantage of that role, especially offensively. Fitzgerald got called up and he's playing right field. Maybe the Giants will use him as a utility player like they kind of tried the first time with them when his initial call up. I think that was last year, right? On opening day, in the first couple months, they tried to use him as a player, and that's what he's tracked as through the minors. But he was forced to play shortstop last season because Nick Ahmed was not productive. Anyway, yeah, Padres doing everything they can to win the World Series, and they're actually a team that has beat the Dodgers before in the postseason and had them on the ropes last year. They have 2-1 in that series, and we're up in the game, and then weird stuff just started happening. So, like I said, they're the anti-Giants. The Giants in 2021, I think they were also they had the not enough. They had the Dodgers on the ropes, but they definitely had that, you know, Game 5 in Oracle Park and lost because Noval gave up the ninth inning hit to Bellinger, and then you had Lamont Wade just swing a tick too early on a pitcher, Max Scherzer, and Wilmer Flores gets rung up on one of the worst check swing calls you'll ever see. And that was ball game. That was the last time the Giants were in the playoffs. And if they came back tonight, they'd immediately make the playoffs. But tonight, a loss goes a long way, and then missing the playoffs for what, 22, 23, 24, for a fourth season in a row. Might look like when they acquired Devers, they were going to be one of the wild cards at the very least. So anyway, Morgan looks like he's found the strike zone, but Dominic Smith has just extended his hitting streak to 15 games, which is kind of insane considering I think he's done so with at least 2 of those times being a pinch hitter. Career high for Dominic Smith. If you're the Giants in the situation they're in with Bryce Eldridge being their top prospect and a top 20 prospect, according to Baseball America's rankings that just came out this week, you got a crowded spot at first base with Devers now playing there, and then Smith, mix him in there when Devers needs to be the DH as Schilt's coming in, so we have time to talk about this. You got to keep Dominic Smith. He's in the prime of his career, prime years. You got to sign him back to the Giants. Jason Adams coming in. This is the depth. Jason, I know his name is Adam, but I did Adam plural S. Jason Adam is coming in for the Padres. And that just shows how deep this bullpen is, because I'm sure they can go to Morejon or Estrada after this, and then go to Miller and Suarez. So, yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, the Padres, can they really overtake the Dodgers in the National League West? They're so close on the precipice of tying them. Let's check in on that Dodger game. Dodgers and Angels, who Angels weirdly bought at the trade deadline, and that didn't work out for them, even though the American League wild card's a little more seemed a little more obtainable at the time. Now the Mariners have taken off, so they've kind of become a sure bet in the wild card race. The Guardians too. So the Guardians and Mariners have really separated themselves. So does the Red Sox. So the Angels buying at the deadline made no sense at the time, and it looks even worse now. The Royals still kind of hanging in there, but what I wanted to check, which I said already, was the score of the Dodgers. It's still 5-5 as they head to the seventh there. Betts, Freeman, and Teoscar Hernandez are coming up. We look at the other scores. Tigers again gonna lose, and the Guardians won, right? So they'll be what? Let's go back to that standings tab. Guardians are going to be just, I think only 5.5 out. Which, yeah, I can check on the calendar. I'm going to check. I'm going to go back to the All-Star break. They'll be 5.5 out if the Tigers lose, which it looks like they're going to lose the White Sox. What was their? We're coming back to Jason Adam pitching right now for the Padres, but like a month ago, they were not a month ago, a little over a month ago, July 8th. I just picked a random time, and they had won 2 in a row at that time. So let's go back to like the last game they lost. They were like 14 and a half, 15 games behind the Tigers, and now they've made up 10 games in a month. So you see things like that, and you see the Padres catch up to the Dodgers too, and that's why you're the Giants. Like, just get your ass together for like a week and a half, and you're right back in the race. But you can't really expect that now because they can't hit the side of a barn. Every clutch situation seems, first of all, it seems like Patrick Bailey or Willie Adames is up pretty much every time the Giants need something to happen, and they never do. It's like Bailey actually is clutch, and that graphic just came up, even though it is innings 1 through 6 still technically, but he has almost as many RBIs in the 7th through 9th inning than he does in the 6th inning, first through 6th inning in his career. He's going to pop this one out to shallow center. Infield fly is not in effect, but it doesn't matter. Bogart's going to catch it. So now we have Elliot Ramos up. This is a guy who I feel like every time I see him come up to bat, he's swinging through something or staring at a pitch. Pretty much you could say that about the whole team, but he had an on-base streak of like 23 games. I think it snapped last night. So I don't know. It just seemed like he wasn't actually playing as well as that was going, and we get another frustrating at bat if you're a Giants fan. He pops out on the first pitch to first base, and Arraez makes the catch. Ramos, in his last at bat, I didn't even have time to mention that, snapped the bat over his leg after trying to snap it the first time. He didn't, and ended up snapping it. Obviously, that frustration didn't turn into anything productive because he popped out on the first pitch there. So I think Jason Adam comes in. That's why he's an all-star. And he gets 2 outs on 4 pitches with the bases loaded. So that's pretty much how that goes. There's Matt Chapman's page. We were looking at his earlier. But yeah, the Guardians. Let's go back to the Guardians. Like, going to be 5.5 out once the Tigers lose this game. They do have runners on second and third with no outs in the 9th inning. I mean, it is the White Sox who've already surpassed their win total from last year with 40 games left, but I'd be surprised if they blow this lead. Other action going on. We touched on the Dodgers and Angels with Luis Garcia on the mound there. Now there's 2 outs in the 7th inning with Max Muncy up. We saw some splits the other day where Max Muncy, the Dodgers are in like, looking for the right word, drastically better with him in the lineup than without him. Now, Muncy's been an unsung hero for the Dodgers during their, it's not a dynasty. I don't know. I wouldn't call it that, right? But during their like dominance in the National League for the last, since 2017. Anyway, Muncy's up. He's a key part of their team. when you think of all the superstars they have, right? Glue guy. And then the other game we haven't talked about is the A's and Rays. Rays and A's. Sneaky. The A's could end up with a better record than the Rays this year. When the Rays, they were kind of doing what the Brewers did. Them and the Brewers were kind of just hot at the same time. That initial wave the Brewers have had, but since then they've had two more, and the Rays just got average to worse. But yeah, they're kind of mirror images of each other, where they're both smaller market teams that just find a way to be competitive every year. The Brewers just kept going this year and keep going. Matt Gage is in. He's been a godsend for the Giants bullpen since they called him up. I believe they called him up that series against the Braves. Casey Schmidt just made an incredible backhanded play, and Devers made a nice stretch to his glove side to get Cronenworth on that first pitch. So Schmidt kind of makes up for that error earlier. Did they call that an error? I know Adames made an error. What's the line score? It's still only one error, and that was Adames's clear error up the middle. But Schmidt dropped a line drive that he kind of lunged at and fell. This one was to his glove side backhand, kind of Jeter throw, but sidearm. And Devers made a nice stretch. Again, that's another one to add to his repertoire as far as repertoire. You can't just make the same play over and over again, right? Another one to add to that highlight reel of him playing first base. Because he's done more good than bad, even though people are probably just posting his bad plays. Freddie Fermin drops a nice single into right field. I think that's the difference. Just seeing a swing like that for the Padres. Fermin just goes with the pitch, and we saw the Giants do that to start the sixth inning with Flores and Chapman walked, who got the hit after Flores or after Chapman. Trying to recall. Oh, Smith's hit for his to continue his 15-game hitting streak to load the bases. But you saw those hits. And you're like, okay, that's just how you just quiet swings. And then you got Bailey and Ramos going up there trying to be heroes, and they pop out. So again, different pitcher though. So and an all-star pitcher, Adam, completely different release point than the guy who was on the mound before. Still, I think a quieter approach for the Giants. I think they're just trying to hit a 6-run home run, right? Or think one swing can make up 5 games in the standings. That's not going to happen. So just kind of just take a chill pill, man, and take it one at bat at a time. And they're not doing that, and they're in danger of falling 5.5 games out of. I mean, why even look at the standings at this point? But 5.5 games out of wild card spot, and the Padres, everything going for them. Tatis now in a 2-2 count. No. So yeah, that was my Don Orsillo impersonation. 2-2 on Tatis. He's hard to double up, so we're unlikely to see a double play. Broadcast is showing Eric Miller, who is kind of a lucky lefty. Tatis does hit one on the ground, but it's past Adames. So first and second now for the Padres. See if they take advantage of their opportunity. Luis Arraez is coming up. He's 0 for his last. He's 0 for 8 this series, I think. Anyway, Eric Miller, I don't know if he'll come back. Gage is basically him. Luke Casey was his first replacement as a lefty in the bullpen, and Gage is kind of a replacement too for him. So the Giants, well, that's one thing they've solved. They've gotten a couple more lefties. Beginning of the season, when their bullpen was really good, it was like, who's going to be the other lefty besides Miller? Well, now they have 2 pretty good lefties without Miller, with Gage and Luke Casey out of the bullpen. So those 2 guys have kind of filled the void, and they got Jose Butto warming up in the bullpen. I assume, unless Arraez hits into a double play, he will pitch to Machado next. We'll get a pitching change after this. Rise, the hardest guy to strike out in baseball, did strike out earlier against Robbie Ray. In fact, let's check. Yeah, just that 1K. Anyway, seemingly the Giants bullpen had been a little shaky after the Rogers end of all trade. Looks like they've bounced back with some guys. Bivens kind of just been used so much that his ERA looks awful. Does this game day? I know sometimes it does show live stats for players that aren't in the game yet, but yeah, his ERA is 4.66. Beck too. Those two have kind of been the weak links of the bullpen. Ryan Walker has gotten better throughout the season, or throughout the last month, I would say, but he was awful. Obviously, lost the closer's job. Arise Devers makes the play deep first. The only play was at second. Little bump with Tatis and Adames, but I don't think that was anything. Two of the more charismatic guys in the game, I would say Tatis is a little more confrontational than Adames. He didn't slide on the play. There was nothing much about nothing as Gage kind of limped. Not limped, but tripped up at going to first base. Doesn't matter. Hopefully he's not hurt. Not going to affect tonight's game because he's out anyway. Kind of punching his quad there. Pulled up trying to cover first. But anyway, we'll get Jose Butto, who has not been bad since coming over from the Mets. Anyway, let's do so I can just learn a little bit more about the Padres because, as I said, I know the Giants like the back of my hand since I've been watching them lose everything the last month and a half, 2 months. But yeah, I mean, you hear about the Padres, that bullpen is crazy, right? They have the makings of a team that will be in October, late October, right? So Cease, they held on to him. I know that he was in trade talks even while they were climbing up to contention before the trade deadline. The Padres fans, who is their game one starter? Is it King? Is it Nevada? I don't think it's Yu Darvish, right? Or is it Cease? Cease has kind of had a below average season for his standards. I would say Michael King, right? But he's been injured. When did he get? I knew he was gonna come off the injured list, but I didn't know he was already off the injured list. Let's look at his page. I don't even think is he supposed to pitch. He might actually be scheduled to pitch. No, Pivetta is scheduled to pitch tomorrow. My internet's being slow. Michael King. No, I don't want to see that. I want to see his game logs. I want to see his transaction list. August 9th. Activated from the 60th. So that was, look at my calendar, Saturday. So they're like, we're not going to waste him on the Giants unless he pitched on the 9th right after they activated him. Maybe they did. That's usually right. Teams do that. Activate somebody and not use them if he's a pitcher. So he did pitch on the 9th against Boston. Ooh, he only pitched 2 innings, gave up 2 earnings. So not a great outing, but what do you expect for somebody who's on the 60-day injured list? He'll make his next start against the Dodgers. Butos pitching against Machado. Machado's 0 for 1 in his career against Buto, but with a player that good, that doesn't mean anything with one career at bat. That slider was way off, by the way. Another slider on the fringes of the left-handed batter's box. Patrick Bailey blocked it, obviously. No run score. Actually, I just saw it. This is a little bit ahead of the stream on my phone where I'm watching the game, and that didn't even hit the dirt. Just kind of looked like it there. I don't know if Buto is just having control issues, but you look at this strike zone, he hasn't thrown a strike yet. Machado, an actual strike, a pitch in the strike zone. Machado helped him out on that first pitch, or else it'd already be ball 4. Anyway, yeah, Michael King, I would think if he gets back into form like he was at the beginning of the season, is the layup for the game one starter for the Padres, whether they're in the NLDS or actually they'll be in the wild card series. Whether they win the division or not, I would assume the Brewers are going to be the team that waits at home because they're so hot right now. and waits for other teams to play each other. Waits for teams to beat up on each other. Maybe they'll be the second seed. Who knows? Maybe the Padres are the second seed. Budo, that was a nasty. What pitch was that? That moved pretty good. I just saw that live. That was a sinker. We got another sinker. Same pitch, basically. I mean, same location. It was the same pitch. Bogaerts just whiffed at it. But you know what? Here's what I was talking about. Something the Giants don't do with 2 strikes unless it's Dominic Smith. From what I've seen, just aesthetically the last several weeks. Unless it's Dominic Smith. Devers doesn't take anything out of the swing, nothing to knock against him because he's actually doing his job most of the time. But let's see if Bogaerts takes something out of his swing here. That's the kind of approach, the unselfish approach you need if you're going to make it far in October. As he fouled that one off towards the third base line, that number 3 pitch you saw there, slider. Zabuto's staying low. They did have a mound visit, but I genuinely think he was just trying to avoid pitching to Machado. I don't think it was a control thing. He gets the out. Bogaerts flies out to left. We'll get a better look at it here on cam. Yeah, slider. He had to protect the plate. Actually, for no butt swing, like just throwing his arms at it, Ramos caught it with his back foot on the warning track, I believe. So that ball actually went pretty far. Had I not known that it was going to be an out beforehand by looking at game day, I would have been a little bit nervous that this game was already over. Giants still have a fighting chance. Microcosm of the last 2 months. You look at the score, just like you look at the standings, you're like, okay, theoretically they could do it, but are they going to do it? It all comes down to the offense, like it does for the whole season. Back to the Dodgers and Angels. Still 5-5 in the 8th inning now. Jacob Call up against Reed Detmers. Remember Detmers threw a no-hitter several years ago? Now he's a relief pitcher for the Angels. And Call, obviously, one of the guys the Dodgers got at the trade deadline from the Nationals. He'll probably hit like a walk-off home run in the NLDS or something. That's how the Dodgers operate. So while we have the Giants and Padres on commercial, I just want to remind you guys, this is my first ever like actual live stream. So if you could hit that like and subscribe button, or if you catch this after I'm live, please watch my videos, subscribe, do whatever. That will help support me, because I do know quite a bit about sports. I just need to find the time and the encouragement to keep going to do this, because it's something I like, but I want to make time for something that I can actually invest in rather than waste my time. I don't want to do something and have nobody watching it or looking at it. So anyway, I'm about to wrap up here. I think we'll watch this 7th inning from Oracle Park with you, since that's the title of my video. Let's talk about Giants Padres live. Giants have their 2, 3, 4 hitters. I think this is probably the first time in his career that Casey Schmidt's batting second. He's done well, 2 for 3 so far. Takes the first pitch for a strike at the knees. The next one is a ball way up there from Adam. Adam, of course, has that unique release where he throws it right at his ear. That slider's his top pitch, but Schmidt gets a hit off of it here. Nice line shot to left center. Jackson Merrill, of course, really good outfielder. Circles around it, make sure it stays a single. So Schmidt now has 3 hits and has his OPS up to over 730. Hasn't updated yet over here, but it should be 730, I think. Maybe it is 729. I wasn't looking before he got the hit. So now Devers, who has 1 hit tonight, and continues to hit the ball hard for the Giants on this homestand, even though does he have 2 or 3 homers on this homestand? 2 of them are to left center. One of them was to right center. It was absolute tank. Yesterday's was to left center. Takes a slider that doesn't move. And then I'm not watching it. That hasn't come up yet on live feed, but look at the game day feed. That's not a strike. That's not a strike. I'll tell you what Devers' reaction was. Kind of just tweaked his head a little bit and was like, I know that's not a strike. As you see, game feed here just completely changes to daytime, even though it's clearly nighttime at Oracle Park. Change up outside, so you see Adam is just working him away. Could be 3-0, but he got benefit of a pitcher's pitch there on that second one. Devers swings at this one that was even farther out than the second pitch and a little higher. Probably the height of that pitch that made him want to swing at it. Ran away from him a little bit. 2-2. One thing I've noticed about Devers in his time with the Giants is, I think I already said this, but he does not get cheated up there. I'm just like some of the swings he takes, I'm like, man, just please don't throw your back out. He just ground into is that going to be a double play? No, he beat it out. See if the Padres challenge. It was softly hit to first. Arise made a nice play at the cut of the grass, but I don't think they threw him out at first. Didn't look like they were going to challenge. I have the audio off from Bruden Kipe, so I don't get hit with copyright. Yeah, he beat it out. His left foot hit the grass, hit the base before the ball got there. He's actually hustling, and I don't know how healthy he is because rumor had it that he was the Adames just swings and misses again. Rumor had it that there's something up with his groin and lower back when he got traded from the Red Sox, but he was hustling there. Adames just looks like he's caught in between. He was going to right field. That's when he's been at his best. What helped him win Player of the Month or be on Team of the Month for July. Hits into it out here, fly out to right. Tatis kind of messing with it, but he caught it. Obviously, I saw that on game day first. Looked like he was toying with Devers. Never really lost in the lights. Kind of has a smirk on his face. 2 outs. Now he's smiling. 2 outs, and Flores, who has 2 hits. The first one was an RBI that didn't make it 80 feet. Second was a line drive in the 6th inning. First pitch is a fastball he has to nudge himself away from. So Schmidt, leadoff single, has not moved. Second pitch is a changeup that has been called a strike tonight, but wasn't there and wasn't a strike. Fermin does a nice job of framing, but didn't get the call there. This one is right at the belt. Kind of a backup slider that doesn't move much. I think that's how Adam likes to throw it. Now that I'm watching him more, I realize there are 2 former Royals at the Battery with Adam and Fermin, but I don't think they overlapped. Adam was way back in the day a Royal, and he's a native of Overland Park, Kansas. Though he got to play for his hometown team. 2-2 now. Flores yanked that one towards Matt Williams, but the third base umpire made a nice play off the Camberwell Karam. 2-2 counts even to Flores. Giants are getting some hits tonight. They only had 5 last night, 9 tonight. But Flores just flails at that one, and we're going to head to the 8th inning. And I think now's a good time for me to cut the stream off. But yeah, guys, I mean, if obviously nobody was really watching me live right now. But if you see my page, you come across one of my shorts. I know the all MLB walk-offs one almost has 20,000 views. But if you see me and you see under my live tab, click through it, listen to what I have to say, right? I know the fact that I'm saying this at the end of my video isn't helping me much, but if you like this commentary and you like kind of having another friend that likes talking about baseball, hit that like and subscribe button, because the more you like and subscribe, the more opportunities I'll have to make videos and go live and make shorts. Shorts is where I've tried to gain my reputation, but we'll see. Anyway, that's me signing out for the night. As I sit here tonight on August 12th, we got, let's give it a quick recap. Why not, right? Of just today's action. Mariners won 1-0. George Kirby got the W over the Orioles, 1-0. Phillies lose to the Reds 6-1. Reds stay afloat in the National League wildcard race, now 5 games over 500. Guardians do the same. They're now 6 games over 500, but they stay afloat in the American League wildcard race. Yankees playing a little bit better lately after everything looked like the sky was falling. They rout the Twins at home in New York. Blue Jays beat the Cubs. So they stay 6 games ahead of the Yankees. And how many games ahead of the Red Sox? 4 games? 4.5. Mets get right, beat the Braves, and actually ran out of fireworks. They hit so many home runs. You could see that on, I think, SNY's social media. Royals get back to 60 or 500, 60 and 60. White Sox did beat the Tigers. I think there was a rain delay in there somewhere, but it just ended. And the Tigers did score 3 runs, but White Sox still win. The Brewers beat the Pirates 14-0 in a game that Paul Skeens started. I think Skeens only gave 4 of those runs, but for him, that's still underperforming. Rockies beat the Cardinals. That's as annoying as it is that the Giants are losing right now. Cardinals are better than them, but the Cardinals had been getting, I think they'd won 3 in a row, including 2 against the Cubs and 1 last night against the Rockies. And to lose the Rockies when you're fighting for that playoff spot, that's annoying, especially when it's at home. Diamondbacks beat the Rangers in a World Series rematch from a couple years ago, a game the Rangers really couldn't afford to lose. And then the Red Sox rout the Astros. So we have recap. As right before I get off stream, I'm going to tell you Jackson Merrill hit a home run to left field off Carson Seaman. And it's now 5-1 Padres. So have a good night, guys.